get this tweet out. And we're G2G. All right. Hello and welcome to episode 144 of the Nintendo Fun Club podcast. I'm Ryan, and with me, as always, is John.
Hey Ryan, nice to see you again there, old sport. What's man, I like that shirt. I don't think I've seen that one before. What's the story on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, you may not have seen the shirt before because this is not a shirt you can just find on your store shelves. You know, you can't just waltz into a Hot Topic and grab this with your I don't know, your Avenged Sevenfold vinyl or whatever you're picking up at Hot Topic that day. No, this is a shirt from TeePublic. And I'll go ahead and stand up here. We are recording a video here, so podcast listeners, I am sorry. But yeah, this shirt is inspired by Phantasy Star Online, which is one of my favorite games of all time. And it is called Forest. And yeah, it's a shirt you can get on TeePublic. And, you know, if you want a really easy way to get to it, just check the show notes or the link that is on our blog, because you can click through. And this shirt is hanging out in our store right now. And if you buy it, you support the artist that made it. And you also support us if you use the link provided in the store. So, yeah, if that's something you want to do, you could get a cool Phantasy Star Online shirt, just like me.
Nice. Yeah, for sure.
So,
we're gonna be updating that TeePublic store too. So
yeah. Well, we need to kind of decide on a theme because we'll be updating it at the beginning of July.
Can we do Excite Truck as the theme?
Yeah, I don't think there are many, if any, Excite Truck shirts, Excite series shirts.
Yeah.
There, unfortunately, that's definitely something that needs to happen. So artists, get on that. Start drawing cool trucks. And put them on shirts because we need that in the world. So yeah, okay. Seamless plugging is now over. So yeah, we can. We have a bunch to talk about this episode. It's been a while since we talked about games that we've been playing, but we've both kind of been playing, I don't know, some stuff. And we have some news, some like post E3 news, I guess. Some of the stuff we didn't cover because we didn't really cover like day 2 or 3 of like Treehouse Live and stuff. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it because on Treehouse Live there was a new game announced. And that is Sushi Striker Sushido. And this is a game for 3DS coming out in 2018. And John, have you watched the trailer for this?
I did watch the trailer, yeah. And I watched it like a little bit of the Treehouse live stream, not too much, because by day 3 I was kind of, I think this was day 3, right? I was kind of in and out on the stream, but yeah, I definitely watched the trailer. It looks pretty crazy. Some big, I would say like WarioWare kind of vibes in terms of the presentation and art style and stuff. Maybe Rhythm Heaven to that kind of thing, right? So it seems like it could be really fun, and it seems like it for sure has a lot of character and heart as well. The trailer is like half sort of like animated, cutscene type things, which are pretty funny.
Yeah, it's a really great trailer, and I'll in the show notes I'll have the link to the trailer over at Nintendo World Report. And Yeah, the game, it's looks like an, like hardcore like action puzzle game. Like it seems like uh a really demanding puzzle game that definitely kind of makes use of the dual screens on the 3DS. It seems like a game that really fits on the 3DS. And what's super cool about it is it's developed by Indie Zero. And they made like the Game Center CX or Retro Game Challenge back in the day on the DS, and more recently they've done like NES Remix and uh, Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy, which is one of my absolute favorite uh, 3DS games, Curtain Call especially. So it's a developer with like a great pedigree. The game looks like really nuts and fun. It's kind of crazy that it's coming in 2018. You know, as they were kind of showing this game, I was like, oh, this is going to be and it's available right now
Yeah.
game of the show. But they're like, no, this is coming out in 2018. You need to wait for it like you're waiting for like God of War and Spider-Man. Like this is just a taste, guys.
And I heard some speculation. I don't know if it's confirmed or not, too, but I heard some speculation that it's a retail game too, which is even crazier if it's retail in 2018. I can't remember where that was. I think that might have been Nintendo Voice Chat, IGN. Nintendo Voice Chat was talking about that, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, I mean it's interesting. It makes me wonder what else is going to be on the 3DS in 2018, or if this is just kind of like one of the last, sort of big games from Nintendo on the platform.
Yeah, I think there's probably going to be some more. I mean, we still have like, at least localization wise, we still have some Atlas RPGs. Radiant Historia 3DS version, and what else? The Shin Megami Tensei. I forgot what the subtitle is. I don't know, something demons summoning, devil summoner. That's still coming in. I mean, hopefully Dragon Quest 11.
Right.
There's just a direct on that in Japan, and I mean, I think the PS4 version is gorgeous, and I'm totally down for that. I'm probably down for whatever the Switch version is, but man, the 3DS version is so cool with like the different art styles, and there's like something where you can like street pass, and like there's like cool street pass functionality, and you can also like replay moments in the old like Famicom and Dragon Quest games, and it seems so cool. So I'm really hoping that DQ11 for 3DS gets localized, but that's I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, especially with a Switch version coming, right? Because they might decide to just kind of go. I mean, I guess that's not confirmed to be localized either, but they may decide to just kind of go all in on that. Or, I mean, I suppose if there was going to be an English translation, then it would be released in the US. But I'm going to say, like, even with Switch, you could download DQ11, even if it isn't released here. But, we want a localization as well, I'm sure. So,
yeah. I mean, I hope that's something that someone is working on, whether it be, Nintendo or Sony. I mean, I hope we at least get the game in one form, and once we get that, then I'll be comfortable begging for all the other versions.
Yeah, because it's not even announced to be localized even for PS4 or anything? Like,
No.
But they keep bringing like Dragon Quest Builders and Dragon Quest Heroes and all that stuff over. So you would think if they're going to do those, that they would do.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems
and I keep buying all those. So, I mean, they at least have a couple sales there. Dragon Quest Builders, like, man, that is a real good game. I highly recommend that one.
Yeah, I always kind of take a look at that and consider getting it for my son. And, you know, for me, I would like to play it a little bit too. But I have a feeling that I'm more likely to be into that than I am Minecraft, you know, which I've tried to play a little bit here and there. But
yeah,
I feel like I would like DQ Builders better. So
I think you will.
Yeah.
But anyways, so moving on. Let's see. So a nice, I don't know. I'm really like a big fan of these type of stories. The happy relations between console manufacturers, and so there's an article here I'm looking at from Go Nintendo that I wanted to just kind of throw in here. And this is a quote coming from Xbox head Phil Spencer when asked if players can earn achievements, you know, the famous achievement system that started with the Xbox 360, if they can earn achievements in Minecraft for Switch. And he said, and I quote, "I don't know yet. I'm guessing no. And this is a collaborative relationship between Nintendo and I. They don't have achievements on their platform. If they want us to, I would love to be able to do it. The relationship with Nintendo is incredibly strong. We obviously did the Mario mashup pack in Minecraft. That doesn't happen that often." So there's a few things that I think are interesting and cool about this. Like, you know, I'm someone who you know, played a lot on Xbox 360 last generation, and you know, I have an Xbox One, and I still I don't play it as much as I played my 360. That's for sure. But you know, I'm still like, I don't know, I guess, quote unquote, in the Xbox ecosystem or whatever. And you know, I've said on this podcast before that, you know, I really like achievements and trophies, not in like a really like obsessive competitive way, but I just think they're like a fun way to, you know, compare with your friends and extend the life of games. And so like, yeah, I mean, I would be all for this if you could you know, earn achievements in the Switch version of Minecraft. But it's probably not going to happen. But what I also thought was really interesting about this quote in this interview here was, you know, just the way that Phil Spencer kind of reiterated that the relationship between Microsoft and Nintendo is really strong. And you know, there's those are just his words, and we don't really know details of it. But you know, seeing stuff like the Minecraft crossplay, and I don't know, even some of the stuff with like rare replay and everything, like it seems like an okay relationship that, you know, I would be totally cool with seeing that develop and blossom more.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many opportunities there are for them to really work together since they're both platform holders, but Minecraft makes a ton of sense. You know, Microsoft spent like whatever money they spent on buying Mojang and Minecraft, and like Nintendo has obviously a huge like audience of young video game players. So I mean, it would be kind of, I mean, it would, on the one hand, it would make total sense for Microsoft to be like, no, we're not going to put this on our competitor's platform. But on the other hand, it would be kind of crazy to like, you know, if you have the opportunity to put Minecraft on this on these platforms that are, the home to a lot of young game players, it would be, obviously a huge missed opportunity. So, I mean, that one makes sense. The achievements thing, I think, like, that'd be cool, sure, but it seems very far-fetched, which I think he acknowledges there. But yeah, that kind of thing is cool. Rare Replay, if they would bring that, which I don't think they would, but if they would bring that to Nintendo, that would be super cool, as you said. So I think, like, I'm where you are, where it's like, it's nice to see the leaders of these companies kind of being generous in how they speak about one another. Like, that's cool. And the cross play, like cross online play stuff, is really cool too. I can't imagine it would develop out much further than that, but it's just nice that they're, playing well together and setting like a positive tone in terms of like the way they speak about the competition and that kind of thing. And they're like right next door too, up there in
they're both
in
Washington State. Yeah. Let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, so then I guess kind of the last bit of news.
What do you mean the last bit of news? Like, you want to skip that virtual console thing?
I was gonna skip it because
I don't want to skip the virtual console.
I put it in there, and then I was like, "This is kind of a non-thing." Okay, we'll talk it. Why don't you go ahead and address it then?
Okay, here's the thing. Like, Reggie basically, I'll pull the article up so I can look at his exact language here, but he essentially confirmed that virtual console or a virtual console-esque business will be coming to the Switch. And I think that's a story because, we all kind of assume that it will happen, but it has not been really confirmed until now. So like, he says that, and I hope this is the right story. I'm scrolling through it here to try to find the quote now, but in the past he has stated that they're aware, or even in this article he's stated that they're aware that people like virtual console or want virtual console. You know what, I don't think this is the article, is it?
I mean, I think it is.
This is no. Okay. No. See, this isn't the one. That's why you're like, oh, okay, no, it's fine. This in this interview, he is just saying, we know there's an appetite. We know that people want that. But there's another article that I read sometime this week, and I'll try to find it maybe before the episode is over, but in which Reggie said, like, so certainly that will be a part of our business going forward on the Switch, or something like that. Like, he acknowledged that virtual console will happen on the Switch.
Yeah.
If it's not called that, I don't know, but this isn't the article in which he does that, I don't think.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's kind of why I almost wanted to just skip it, because it, we don't really know the form it's going to take, and it kind of sounds like, just the way he's talking about it, that it's still kind of a ways off.
Well, maybe, but they could turn around and announce it a week from now, and he'd still talk about it this way at this point, I feel like, because like, if they're not ready to talk about it, he's not going to say anything, but I feel like maybe he's been asked about virtual console so many times during E3 week that he kind of let it slip in one of these interviews and just said, like, yeah, definitely we'll do something with that going forward. But
yeah, and I mean, that's something we are, us on the show are kind of waiting for with bated breath. I would say, and like, yeah, and I mean, I don't know if it's just going to, if the first like classic games we see on the Switch are, your the like online service games, if that's what we'll see first, or if we'll see the Nintendo system virtual console relaunch with where you get to pay full price for Mario World again. Or if we'll see something with like cross-buy, if those are, in your Nintendo Network account, or if we're going to see something crazy like, customizable Joy-Cons and GameCube support and Dreamcast, and, just really like kind of like out there type stuff. I mean, it could take a lot of different forms, but I don't know. The vibe I got from this interview is it's still kind of a ways off, but I hope it's something cool.
Yeah. And who knows what they're doing too with like the rumored SNES Classic and the NES Classic, which went away oddly, like when they could have sold a million more of them. Who knows? They might have some connection to what they're doing if they're gonna try to create some synergy between those two things. Between like this device you buy on the end cap at Walgreens or Target for $60 and selling their software on the Switch. Like if they could put out something like the NES Classic that had online capability, then all of a sudden you have the opportunity to maybe like bring those things together. But who knows? I mean, I have no idea, but
yeah.
But
Yeah,
I just think that stuff could be being cooked up or being like pretty far into development now, and he's not gonna, acknowledge that. Like if they're 2 or 3 months away from being done, like developing that stuff, he'll act the same way as if they're 2 years away from being done with it. I feel like, so.
Yeah. And I mean, who knows, like, the success of the NES Classic could have, changed their plans significantly. And, I think also the fact that, retro games are seemingly doing really well on the Switch. The Seiken Densetsu collection seemed to have done pretty well in Japan. And, we've talked on the show before that the Hamster Neo Geo Arcade Archives, Hamster has tweeted out some numbers that they were seemingly proud of with the sales of those. And I mean, they continue to put one out a week. So I don't know. I think like right now the Switch user base is pretty into classic games, it seems. So maybe Nintendo is kind of taking all that into account, and they want to, have something really, really cool rather than just the usual, like, here's Urban Champion for $5.
Yep.
Shtick. So
yeah, that's totally possible. Likely. I mean, it could even be just something where, like, if you are a member of the, I forget the name now, but the $20 a year, program or whatever, you get the games for half off or, whatever, like you get whatever different price for the games because you remember that $20 a year program. Maybe they just don't even want to sell the games until that's going because, they don't want people to be upset. Like, oh, I spent $200 on virtual console games in the 12 months leading up to that program, and I could have gotten them all for way less. You know what I mean? Who knows?
Yeah.
In addition to that, I think it's possible too that they kind of want to sunset the 3DS before they start the new one. I don't know, because I feel like it was a total mess, Virtual Console on Wii U and 3DS, because, they'd release a Super Nintendo game. Well, I guess, yeah, they'd release a Super Nintendo game on one platform or a Nintendo game on one platform, and 6 months later put it out on the other one. And people are like, why did I already bought that? I want it now. I want it on both. And with Switch, obviously, especially once, 3DS is has ridden off into the sunset, then you have one platform and you're selling the game, and I can play it at home, I can play it on the go. Now all of a sudden that problem disappears. But if they're selling me Virtual Console games right now, am I going to look at them and say like, well, I have Castlevania on my 3DS, so why am I buying it again on the Switch? But if I haven't played my 3DS for 6 months and I'm all Switch all the time, you know what I mean? And it's not like two platforms living alongside each other like they sort of are now, then all of a sudden that like becomes a more clear, I don't know, sales pitch or whatever. Like, you own one Nintendo system. Do you want to play this game on it? Okay, cool. Versus right now, people are still playing the 3DS and they have some of those games, and like, why do I need to buy it on the Switch when I have it on the 3DS? So maybe the time is just not right, I guess.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, we still have like Pokemon Gold and Silver coming to the 3DS Virtual Console. Other than that, like that is a pretty barren landscape. They're definitely not dropping virtual console games on the 3DS very often. But on the Wii U, they are continuing to, like, recently, they've been putting out PC Engine TurboGrafx 16 games. Like, I keep seeing those show up every week.
Really?
Yeah, like Newtopia 2 just dropped on the Wii U Virtual Console, and I'm like, and I'm really bummed because, man, if I would have totally bought some TG16 games on the Wii U, you know, a year and a half ago when we were in like hardcore Wii U drought. But yeah, those are showing up now. Like Blazing Lasers just came out on there, and I'm like, do I buy this? Because I really don't want to invest anymore in my Wii U, like digital purchase wise, at
Yeah,
this point.
totally. But you know what to do when Bloody Wolf drops, so
You buy Bloody Wolf.
you buy Bloody Wolf. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
That's one
cool.
of the mantras of the Nintendo Fun Club podcast.
Yeah.
You buy Bloody Wolf. Yeah.
Definitely buy that Bloody Wolf. Okay, so now, so that's that. Now the story I was going to bring up as our last bit of news, and this is coming from a Games Beat interview with Nintendo's Charlie Schibetta, who is Nintendo of America's corporate communications director, and the interviewer, Jeff Grubb, asks, what is the big message for the Switch for the coming year, the rest of the year, and Mr. Schibetta responds, talking about what else is out there at like life after Mario Odyssey, basically, and says next year we have some big games coming with Metroid 4. 2018 will be around Metroid, Kirby, Yoshi, and the new Pokemon game has been announced. So yeah. Then after that went up and people were like, so Metroid and Pokemon in 2018, then Nintendo released a statement saying no change in what we announced last week at E3, which is that those two games are coming, but they have no specifically announced release window or year. So what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that those games are in development and currently planned to release in 2018, but especially with Metroid Prime 4, Nintendo is going to wait until at least E3 2018, if not later, they'll probably confirm an intended release date at E3 of next year, but who knows? That's an ambitious game. That's like, it's maybe not like Breath of the Wild necessarily, but they announced a couple of release dates for Breath of the Wild because they weren't able to hit those. And so I feel like at this point, with a game like Metroid Prime 4, especially, and to a lesser extent Pokemon, they are hoping to have those out in 2018. That is the plan, but they are, realistic enough to realize that possibly they, that it could be tough to get them done at that. You know what I mean? Maybe they won't be able to get them done by then. I think Kirby and Yoshi, they're like, yeah, Kirby and Yoshi are in the bag. We'll have them done in 2018. Like, it's fine. You know what I mean? But Metroid 4, I don't think is going to be that straightforward of a process because, and they want they can put out a good Kirby game. They can put out a good Yoshi game. They know how to do that. They've been doing that for years. And it's just, I feel like it's not going to be as challenging and if they put out Kirby and Kirby's a B+ instead of an A+, I think like, okay, it's still good and it's whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Metroid Prime 4 has to be amazing. I'm sure they feel that way. So why announce a release date 18 months before it's going to come out when, just be conservative and wait until you're sure. So I don't think Nintendo knows 100% that they're ready in 2018. I think they hope that they'll be ready in 2018. That is the plan. That is what's the deadline or you know what I mean? That's what they're shooting for. But they understand that it's possible that won't happen. And so there's no need to make that announcement yet. Plus, if you announce Metroid Prime 4 at E3 2017 and you announce the release date, you've taken 2 announcements and put them into one sort of like, media opportunity instead of like announcing it now and then waiting until next year to announce the release date. And then you get a whole other round of, excitement. So
yeah, especially with
they could tell us everything that they know or have that, you know what I mean? They could tell us so much about Metroid Prime 4 right now if they wanted to. It's not like Nintendo doesn't know things about Metroid Prime 4 that they're not telling us, right? One of those things is their intended release date, but it's no reason to tell us now. I guess that's my point.
Sure. Especially considering with both these games, we have seen 0 footage of. I mean, not even like a tone piece trailer. Like we have heard the names essentially or seen the logo and that's it. So yeah, I think you're right. I think E3 next year will probably be seeing these games for the first time. Maybe get like a tone trailer in like a direct before that, but I think E3 next year is when we get the proper like gameplay footage, and then it's gonna kind of depend on where they're at there when those release dates hit. I think I don't know. I think both of these games are things that they probably want to nail on the first try because expectations are going to be really high. So I could see both of them, even having like awesome E3 showings and all of us being like, oh yeah, I want that. And then it's still getting kind of pushed back a little more because they really, really want to get them right.
Yeah. I think
Pokemon RPG on a console is huge. Metroid Prime 4 with an entirely different team, not entirely, but mostly different team brought in internally, and in Nintendo of Japan, like that's gonna be big too.
Yeah, and I don't want to be dismissive of like Pokemon. It is like the first ever mainline Pokemon console game, right? So it's a big deal, but at the same time, like Pokemon fans are not going to Pokemon fans are going to be happy if it looks good, runs well, and has some neat tweaks to the Pokemon like formula. Like it's pretty established what a Pokemon game is, and I feel like moving it to the console, it doesn't need to change that much except for like production values and visual presentation and stuff. Let me know if I'm wrong because I'm not a real Ultimate Pokemon fan or anything.
It doesn't need to, and I think any of us would be happy with just like an HD version of the standard kind of Pokemon template, but I could also see the team putting like higher expectations on themselves, and treating this like kind of a new experience, being that it is the first proper Pokemon RPG on a console.
Sure.
So
yeah, but I think of those two tasks, Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon Switch, I think Metroid Prime 4 is definitely the the more complex, the more complicated in terms of what is it going to be and how are we going to get there, you know. Let's put it this way. If they had been making Metroid Prime games on handheld systems for the last 20 years, and then it was like, well, now we're going to make a Metroid Prime game, but it's going to be on a home console, I think that it would be more straightforward for them what they're going to do. You know, they haven't made a Metroid Prime game in 10 years, and most of the people working on it have never made one. You know what I mean? Versus Game Freak making, well, it's Pokemon, but it's, you know, it's on a different platform, and, you know, we're going to make it. I'm not saying that's not like it's not, you know, a meaningful change, but it's still the Pokemon machine putting out another Pokemon game. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Versus Metroid Prime 4 being something like very different and kind of new in a lot of ways. So
something I was thinking about Metroid Prime 4 the other day, the Metroid Prime games are not first-person shooters; they're first-person adventures. But I think by Metroid Prime 3, it could be argued that maybe they're kind of first-person shooters in some ways. And, you know, even looking at like the multiplayer in Prime 2 and like Hunters and stuff, like I definitely get the description of the original Metroid Prime being a first-person adventure, but the games have definitely dabbled into first-person shooter territory. So I was thinking, will Metroid Prime 4 be the first internally developed in Japan first-person not shooter? Like, can you think of any others?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think because it's always been like Rare or Retro or somebody doing those kind of games for them, right? If it was Nintendo published.
Or like NST, I think did Geist.
Well, okay.
Yeah, like the
well, they did. Didn't they do Hunters also?
Yeah, I believe so. So like, yeah, the Western branches have always handled like the first person stuff, and you know, there's, you know, the I guess it's a fact that you know, in general, you know, first person shooters are not popular in Japan. First person games are not popular in Japan. A lot of people get motion sickness from them, and so, you know, interesting because there's so few Japanese first-person games developed by anyone. Like, it's really hard to even like think of any. I can think of like Makin X on the Dreamcast, and not really many others as far as first-person games go. You know, you have like stuff like Etrian Odyssey, but that's a lot like slower paced, and but yeah, I mean, first-person perspective is just not a big thing, and like it'll be interesting to see how like internal Nintendo studios handle that.
What about that Platinum game that Kevin loves on the PS3? That's
Vanquish.
Is that first person?
It's third person.
Oh, it's third person. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping that Metroid Prime 4, because it's being developed in Japan, and because it's what I want, and I've talked about this ever since, you know, ever since Metroid Prime 4 was announced all those weeks ago. I'm really hoping that like the Western influence is what moved Metroid Prime further in the direction of first-person shooter, and, you know, having it developed in Japan again will move it away from that back toward like Metroid Prime 1, and you know, have it be more of an adventure and less of that shooter influence on it. But
yeah,
it remains to be seen.
For sure. It's going to be a very interesting game.
Yeah.
When it comes out. So I have high hopes, but I'm also just like really curious about it. So All right, so let's go ahead and get into some of the games we've been playing. And John, I want to ask you about a game that you've been playing that I have not. You actually did an unboxing for our YouTube channel, and that is Cave Story Plus for the Nintendo Switch. I have not picked this up. I'm very anxious to kind of hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah. I don't know. I pre-ordered on Amazon because I don't know what it retails for. Is it $30? Maybe it retails for, but
Yeah.
I think I got it for, well, I got the 20% off, but I don't know. I guess maybe it was, what would it be? $26 after that discount, or $24. I think it was like $24 maybe.
Yeah.
I got it for. So it's one of those things where, like, would I have paid $40 for Cave Story? No way, and even $30 is more than I'd want to pay. But like the instruction booklet and the mini CD, and it was just, I don't know. It seemed like such a cool package. And Cave Story is a game I have played before. I think I've played it twice before. I don't know if I finished it both times, but I played it on the PC and then also, or the Mac, and then also played it on the 3DS. I think,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Couldn't remember if it was DSiWare or 3DS. I think it was on both.
Oh, that's a good question.
Anyway, I played it on one of those too.
Yeah.
And, like, I knew what to expect. I haven't played all of it yet on Switch, but I've played it a couple times before, like I said. So, impressions so far of the actual game are that, it looks really good on the Switch screen. It's been a lot of fun to play in handheld mode. I actually haven't played it on the TV yet at all, but in handheld mode, it's been great.
Is it full, like, widescreen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It is, and you can choose between, I think, 4 different soundtracks. I don't remember if that was. I don't think that was the case in the Wii U version. I think maybe there were 2, but there's like the original, the remastered, remixed, I think, and then there's one called the Fami Tracks or something like that, which is like a demake version of the soundtrack or something. That's what I've been playing with. I've had that on, so that's cool. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I think it's a game that's a great fit for the Switch. You were talking earlier on the show about the whole retro games being popular on Switch, and this is sort of a retro game because it's probably, I don't know, close to 15 years old now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not on Nintendo platforms, but on PC, it's, I think, getting probably close to that. So it's a bit of a retro game, and it obviously plays like a retro game. It has a very retro style. So it feels great on the Switch. It feels like a long lost, Super Nintendo game or whatever. And but playing with the Joy-Con, playing with the I guess you call them the face buttons or whatever on the left Joy-Con as the D-pad, that's been fine.
Can you still play with the analog stick if you want, or is it like D-pad digital only?
I would guess that you can, but not being a heathen, I've never tried using the stick to control this 2D
Really,
platforming game.
That's where you're at on this?
Yeah. Although I was thinking, I did play Sonic Mania at the Switch preview event with the stick, because I, obviously at that point had very little experience with the Switch, and I think I just sat down and was like, okay, here's how I move the guy, and I was like, and that was fine. So I'm a heathen sometimes myself, I guess. But
man, I've become like really accustomed to using the stick on the Switch console. Just
on 2D games.
On 2D games, yeah, because just because of where like my hand fits on it, it's like way more comfortable for me to have my thumb on the stick than it is to go down to the D-pad. And so, yeah, like I played all the way through Shantae using the stick. And at one point, I realized I was doing it. And it was like halfway through the game. And I realized, and I was like, oh, God, what am I doing? I should be playing on the D-pad. And I moved down, and it felt so weird, partially because the D-pad on the Switch is like the buttons, the 4 buttons. and partially because like I have to move my thumb down and it feels really weird. So I actually kind of continued and I finished that game playing with the stick. And thinking back on it, like I finished Blaster Master Zero with the stick. I finished Shovel Knight Spectre of Torment with the stick, and all of the 2D fighting games I've played with the stick. All of the Neo Geo games, Street Fighter, everything. So I think that's kind of where I'm at now.
Okay, well, that's weird, but that's cool. I mean, you referred to the D-pad on the Switch. I mean, I guess you have a classic control or a pro controller. So I don't know if that's what you mean when you say the D-pad on the Switch, or if you're talking.
No, I mean I play my Switch 98% of the time in portable mode.
Yeah.
The only time I ever have it, like I don't even have my dock hooked up to my TV. My dock is hooked up to my PC monitor because the only time I play it in portable mode with the Pro Controller, or in docked mode with the Pro Controller, is when I'm recording video.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like the Switch is totally a handheld for me.
Okay, because the Joy-Con, I would not even call that a D-pad like at all. Really, it's like not.
But that's what I was referring to, though.
Yeah. No, okay, so but I think it works. I don't mean that like it's such crap I wouldn't call it a D-pad. I mean it's functionally, it can function as that, but that's not what it is. So because I use buttons. Yeah, I use it and I like it. I'm surprised that it works as well as it does. I mean, I'd rather have a D-pad, but yeah, like I said, I've been playing Cave Story mainly in handheld mode. I play the Switch in handheld mode more often than docked mode. Partially because it's just more convenient with my lifestyle, and then also because I still have a bum left Joy-Con that I really need to get repaired. So like I've been playing Breath of the Wild, and I really want to like play on the TV, especially I did a Divine Beast last week or earlier this week, and it was like the Divine Beast itself is lame, as I've talked about on the show before. I think they're lame, but the boss fight at the end and like the story stuff leading up to it, like all that I'd love to, have on the TV and surround sound and all that. But I have to I ended up standing up in front of my TV to play so that the Joy-Con would read,
oh my God.
Yeah. But anyway,
Breath of the Wild was the last time I played my Switch on the TV.
Yeah. Well, I'm still playing Breath of the Wild pretty frequently, or as often as I can get to it. I really want to now my new goal is to finish it before the DLC comes out, which I think is like a week from now.
Yeah.
I only need to do one more Divine Beast and then go fight Ganon, so I think that's definitely doable in a week. We'll see if I do it or not, but
you should.
Yeah. So but I plan on playing Breath of the Wild all summer, whether I beat it, next week or not. Like I'm definitely excited to keep playing that game all the time. But Cave Story, it's great. Plays great. Looks great. More options than in the Wii U version, I think. And there's probably stuff I haven't found.
Not Wii U, right? It didn't come out on Wii U, right?
Did it not? It came out on everything, didn't it? Wii, okay. It
came out on WiiWare.
That's right.
And 3DS.
I played it on 3DS and PC or Mac. Yeah, that's right.
But I'm wondering about was there a DSiWare version? That seems like a thing that could have happened.
I think it probably did, but I'm not 100%.
I'm not totally sure on that. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, the physical package is really cool. And like for $30, I don't know. I was talking to one of our friends on Twitter. I can't remember who it was now, but I think maybe Ian. Like it'd be great if like 1001 Spikes is coming out, and it'd be nice if that, had a physical package like this one. If with my 20% off, I can get it for 25 or a little less dollars, then like I think it's worth it for me personally to go physical and pay even like $10 extra than what I might otherwise pay to get like a cool physical. Although the mini CD, I do have to say, I'm down to very few CD players in my home.
Oh my God, I don't even know what I would do with a CD. at this
My
point.
my main computer, like the one I'm using right now, doesn't have a disk drive. So I was like, okay, well,
Yeah.
I can't use that. So I was like, I'll pull out my work laptop, and I pulled that out, and I was like, oh, this doesn't have a disk drive either. So I couldn't use that.
Yeah.
And then I have a slot loading disk drive on my old MacBook, and I like Googled it first, and they were like, don't put anything in there that's not normal CD size. So I was like, I don't know how to use this, mini CD.
I know, totally. So
I need a CD player or disk drive that like pops out, like slides out, like so. Anyway,
yeah, something funny like my PC, I don't have a disk drive in it. Like I kind of assembled my PC a few years ago, and I put an extra hard drive in the slot where the where the disk drive would go, and then my other computer that I use mostly is Surface Pro 4, and
that doesn't have a disk drive.
That obviously does not have a disk drive. So, but the last time I listened to a CD was I really wanted to listen to the Final Fantasy Tactics soundtrack, which I have like a Japanese CD copy of that. And I was like hanging out in my room, and I'm like, I really want to listen to the soundtrack. I'm cleaning some stuff up, putting some stuff together. What I ended up doing was playing it on a PS1 hooked up to my TV. And that was the last time I used a CD. And I've gotten CDs in special editions and stuff, like the Fire Emblem Echoes, which is my most recent special edition, the 3DS game. I got a CD soundtrack with that, and it's still just kind of like sitting in there sealed, and I'm just like, I don't even know what to do with this. So yeah, CD soundtracks, not a huge incentive. And it's funny because that my game of the show E3 2017 is Metroid Samus Returns, and they're like special edition coming out, and I'm like, oh yeah, I better pre-order that. And it's like, it's the game and a CD.
Yeah.
Like, cool.
Yeah.
I really want this, but I guess I'll hook up my my PS1 is always hooked up to my TV, but I guess I'll do that.
Well, the best call to make there, if you're willing to spend a little bit of extra money, quite a bit of extra money, I guess, is download the game from the eShop and then import the European
one,
Samus Returns special, because that's an actual special edition with like an art book and like
a pin, maybe.
Yeah, it's got some cool stuff. Ours is super lame in comparison, and I was going to order it though, but I missed out on the pre-orders so far. I'm sure hopefully some more will go up before it comes out, but honestly, if I don't get the special edition, I probably won't be super heartbroken, because like you said, it's cool though. It's like I think of Metroid music from like lots of different Metroid games, right, on that CD. So
yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
Well, all you have to do is find a way to copy it to your computer, and then it's useful again. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, can I hook up a PS1 to my computer? Like, and actually, I cannot. I tried hooking up a PS1 through the Elgato to record, because I have a North American PS1 and a Japanese one, and I wanted to record some of my Japanese games, some footage and some Let's Plays of like Tobal 2 and Metal Gear Solid Integral and stuff like that. And yeah, I can. It doesn't work. It doesn't work with my Elgato. So like I do not have a way to hook up my PS1s.
That's weird. Japanese TVs are NTSC though, aren't they? Like, isn't it like the?
Yeah, it's just the Elgato. The pass through just doesn't jive. Same with PS2s. And PS3s, you have to do like a really weird pass through. You can only use component. You can't use.
Well, yeah, but that's because
HDMI.
That's because PS3 had the HDCP or whatever. Like
Yeah,
it's the copyright protection. So yeah, I would say that's not. I mean, we're getting into semantics here, but like that's not your Elgato. That's your PS3. Like,
sure.
putting in copyright protection to stop you from doing that. So I would not
Yeah.
expect that though. I don't know if that's part of the PS1 and PS2 also. Not that kind, but
No, and this is definitely not something we need to go super deep into on our Nintendo podcast, but no, the I tried hooking up a PS2 using component cables, which is something like, it's a totally valid input on the Elgato Game Capture HD that I have, which is the oldest model, but it's the best for like retro stuff because you can hook up. I have my Wii hooked up through component cables, and you can do the PS3 through component cables, but the PS2 would not jive with it. And then I tried doing PS1 through composite, and it wouldn't recognize it.
okay.
So I don't know. Oh no, actually, think I think maybe the PS1 did, but it was like a horrible image quality.
Oh, okay.
Now that I think about it, yeah. Um, which is a bummer because there's no S video. Um, at least I don't have an S video solution for my Elgato, but PS1s and Sega Saturns through S video actually look pretty okay on HD TVs, in my opinion. Compared to like stuff like N64, which is like a blurry mess, and even like PS2s don't look great on HD TVs. But Saturns and PS1s, like I've had really good luck, both with visual quality and like there's no input lag or anything. Or there is, but not significant. But yeah, there's not really a solution for the Elgato.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Real quick, super quick. Since we're on the topic, like 20 minutes ago, of D-pads and 2D fighters and stuff, I did pick up Street Fighter 2. I haven't played it a ton. One reason I got it is I wanted to play you online and like play Tyler online and stuff, but the moment had passed a little bit when I got it, and then it was like basically E3 when I got Street Fighter 2, so we haven't played yet. But then the other thing is, like, I cannot get comfortable with using either the D-pad on the Joy-Con, like the not D-pad on the Joy-Con, or the stick. Like either way, I'm not comfortable playing the game. Like I don't know. I'm not the best Street Fighter player in general, but like I feel like even something as simple as like jumping forward, like 30% of the time I'll go to like jump forward or jump backward, and like it doesn't do it, because it just doesn't feel good to me. So I don't know. Like I think Street Fighter 2 Ultra is going to be one of those games where until I get like either an 8-bit DO controller or get a Pro controller or get that Hori fight stick, I don't know. Like it's going to be, I'm not sure how much of it I'm going to play,
Really?
I still think it'll be, but I still think like I'm not regretting getting it at all because, next time I have like friends over to like do a like play Switch for the night type thing, like to be able to pop that in for half an hour, and just play a bunch of Street Fighter with like anybody. Is like Street Fighter is like Mario almost, like almost anybody I can think of who comes over to my house like to hang out. I could be like, let's play some Street Fighter, and they would be totally into it. So, but to really like, well, I would never really seriously play Street Fighter, but to play it like anyway competitively or try to like play through the game like a bunch of times or whatever, like I don't know, I just don't think the Joy-Con are there for me, and I don't have a Pro controller, so I don't like using the stick at all. I don't like using the D-pad very much at all. I don't know, it's just
I'd say spend some time with the stick, because I have been I don't think we need to get into the value proposition of Ultra Street Fighter 2 on the Nintendo Switch. I think that's kind of been talked to death. I'm a huge fan of the game. I play it a lot, or I have played it a lot, maybe a little bit less so now that ARMS has come out, but I was playing it, every other night for a couple weeks there. And I've been playing online and stuff, playing with Tyler, playing just against strangers online. Also been playing the offline single player mode, and I've played it entirely in handheld mode. And with the exception of when I recorded video of it for our YouTube channel, I've played it entirely in handheld mode, and I think it is just so awesome to be able to play like a super great version of Street Fighter 2 while just like hanging out on the couch or on the porch or whatever in handheld mode. So,
well, I don't want to be confrontational, but you're on the record 20 minutes ago saying you can't wait to play Super Mario 3 with the stick on the Joy-Con. So I don't know if you're really like the most trustworthy source. You know what I mean? Like,
okay. Mario 3 is going to be different.
You were talking about modding your Famicom Classic to put a stick on there so you could play all your 2D. And
Stop this malarkey right now. No, I think when it comes to stuff like NES games that I'm like really familiar with, that's probably where it's going to start to get weird, playing with the stick. And that's when I'm hoping, the Virtual Console drops and they have all these like crazy extra controllers you can buy.
Or I don't know, man. I don't trust you because you just emailed me last week with a link to an Etsy shop where you bought like a Contra themed stick bumper plug. What do you call those things you put on top of the stick? You know what I mean? You were like, I can't play Contra. I got to be ready to play Contra with the stick. So I'm buying this thing off Etsy. Okay. Remember that email?
You are making things up completely.
Well, we'll let the listeners decide. So
Okay. Yeah. I mean, basically, like, the stick is not bad for 2D games. It's not bad. It's gonna get weird when you start playing like games that you're super familiar with only playing on a D-pad. But I don't know. Like, I played NES games in Animal Crossing with the GameCube controller back in the day. So I think, life finds a way.
Sure.
We adapt.
I mean, the real thing here is like I'm bad at Street Fighter in the first place. You know what I mean? Like I threw my first Dragon Punch on purpose like 3 years ago. Like I'm not good. I don't know. I'm not good. Like you'll see me half the time over on the other side of the screen, like doing failed fireball attempts like all the time. Anyway,
the jab.
Yeah.
So then out on the side of the screen doing the punch.
Yeah. What is he trying to punch? Yeah. So, that coupled with a less than ideal control setup is, just not like the best scenario for me. But I'm not arguing it's like terrible or anything. It's just I don't know. I get frustrated. Like I get frustrated if I'm in a match and I'm trying to pull off a move, and I know if I was using a different controller, it would be happening. And with this one, it's not. Like that just bums me out. So I don't know. I mean, like if you were to text me or, Tyler DM'd me and said, let's play some Street Fighter Online, like, sure, I'll do it. But like every time I open up my Switch case and, look at my games in there, like, and I see Street Fighter 2, I'm like, probably not today, just cause and if I had a classic controller, probably totally different situation.
A pro controller.
Or pro controller. Yeah. I might buy the Hori one, the wired Hori one, cause it's more than half less than half the price of the actual pro controller. So like even just getting that to have a D-pad, or something, maybe I'll do, or I could get the 8-bit though. Anyway, whatever. Street Fighter 2, the game's really cool. Great package, except for I'm not happy with the Joy-Con to control it. So
okay. Well, I'm gonna text you tomorrow and and challenge you to a Street Fighter match that you cannot refuse.
Who will you play as?
Um, you'll find out.
Here's how you know I suck. I'm gonna play as Ryu because he's the only character I can play as.
That's totally fine.
And Ken.
Ryu and Ken are great characters.
And Dark Ryu and Dark Ken. Are they dark or evil? Dark,
evil, violent, Shaggy Two Dope, and Violent J.
They're in ICP, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What have you been playing, Ryan? What have you been playing on your Nintendo video game consoles?
So speaking of being bad at fighting games, I'm terrible at ARMS. I'm like really bad at that game. Mm-hmm. I like it a lot. I am so bad though. It's makes me kind of sad. I have been I've tried a few different characters. I've tried a few different like ARMS sets. I've been playing both online and offline, and it kind of like it's a great game. I love the personality of it. I love how different it is. I think it's really fun, like just like simply fun to play. But as soon as I get in the horrible mindset of, I'd actually kind of like to win this fight. Once I start thinking that way, then it becomes very not fun for me and very stressful because I don't usually win the fight. I usually lose the fight, whether I'm playing online or, even playing on like, I find like I played through the game on difficulty level 1 and made it through. Cool. It wasn't too bad. Difficulty level 2, I had to continue a bunch of times at a bunch of different fights, and then and I haven't tried difficulty level 3, but I jumped ahead to difficulty level 4, which you have to finish to be able to play ranked matches, which I don't even know why I'm doing this because I would never play ranked matches. But I tried, and I probably had 12 fights, and I won 2 of them, and I made it to the 3rd opponent offline. And then when I've played with friends online and stuff, I'm usually like in the middle to bottom of the rankings after all is said and done. So but I do really have fun with it until I start thinking about winning and like wanting to win, and then it becomes very not fun. It hasn't quite hooked me enough to the point where I want to make a conscious decision to get better and to put in that work, like to like back in the day when I was playing when me and our friend Chris G were playing a lot of Virtual Fighter 4 on PS2. That was, when we were playing that was a point when I was like, I'm so invested in this game that I want to get better and I'm going to put in the work. And I like read stuff online, and I I don't think I watched videos because I don't think there were videos at that time, but I read strategies online and like really like spent a lot of time in like training mode and stuff. I'm not really there with ARMS, so it's like this weird situation where like I want to just play the game and have fun, but it's also like pretty hard. And so it's kind of like a weird place to be in with it. And I'm kind of just craving just more casual play, like playing it like I think it would be a perfect game for like local multiplayer and that sort of thing. Um, where it's just like super casual, people just kind of picking it up and playing, maybe even just like using motion controls and stuff. Um, but I don't know. I'm just kind of at a weird place with it right now. But I think the game's pretty incredible. Like it is a totally new kind of fighting game. Like the experience and the way matches play out are like totally different, and like the matchmaking and the way it puts you through all these different modes. Like 1 minute you're doing one-on-one battle, the next minute you're doing a you know 3 person, like everyone versus everyone. Next minute you're playing like volleyball or doing like the hoops basketball mode. um it's tons of variety. It's just a really cool take on the fighting game. I'm just not totally comfortable with it as of right now.
Yeah, my experience playing the Test Punch was sort of I wanted to like it more than I did. You know what I mean? Like it's really colorful and it, reminds me of Splatoon, and it is very new and fresh. So all those things are really good and make me want to like the game. But like, I don't know. It's an inelegant explanation, and I can't really defend it all that well. But it just, whether I was using motion control or standard control, it just felt like more, I don't know, work's not the right word, but more complicated and more just, the moment to moment gameplay experience of controlling that character and trying to win those battles, I just didn't really love, and it's like, it can be super colorful and very inspired and all that, but if it just doesn't feel fun to, it's not like it felt horrible, but if it doesn't feel really fun to play, then I'm probably not going to want to spend $60 on it, And even like, I loved the lobby system when I was doing the Test Punch, and it was cool. Like I would be, in a one-on-one battle, then I'd be like teamed up with somebody else in a 2-on-2 or fighting a boss or whatever, or, I don't know if boss is the right word, but, and then go to volleyball. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm doing the volleyball thing. Like, this is such a creative idea. But then like actually playing the volleyball thing wasn't that fun to me personally, although I didn't do it. I mean, I only did the one Test Punch. So I'm not like, I don't really have enough experience to say that, I guess, but you're talking about being hooked to like want to play all the time, and for me, I wasn't hooked to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to spend the money to buy this game, because it's just, for me, I wanted to like it more than I did, I guess. That's kind of what it came down to. So
yeah, and I mean, I bought it. I don't regret my purchase. Like I want to spend more time with it, but when it comes down to like, okay, I'm going to play a video game now, I think about ARMS and I'm like, I'm not really in the mood for that because it's way stressful.
yeah.
Like, and maybe it will come back around at some point, and I'm sure I'll dig back into it and stuff. Like, I'm not gonna sell it or anything, but
well, I mean,
yeah.
similar to Street Fighter Ultra, even if you don't play it all the time, like if it's just something you have around for when people are over, or you're, you want to play multiplayer with Lindsay or whatever, like that alone is maybe, worth, having it on hand. But
yeah. All right, so like there's one more game that we've both played and we can talk about, but I want to talk first about a game that I think only I have played, and that is Mighty Gunvolt Burst. Did you end up picking this up?
I haven't yet. I ran out of time. I was going to try to maybe get it and play some today for tonight, but I didn't have time to do it. So I intend on getting it. I'm excited to play it. But yeah, I haven't played it yet.
Okay. So I'll be curious to hear what your thoughts are on it. Like I bought it and I finished it. And I feel kind of weird about it, to be honest. So I really liked Mighty Gunvolt on the 3DS. Like I thought that was a super pleasant surprise, and I ended up really, really enjoying that game. I think we both did, right? You're a fan of Mighty Gunvolt on 3DS, yeah?
Yes, I am a fan of that. I'm not a big fan of Azure Striker Gunvolt on 3DS, but I did like Mighty Gunvolt a lot.
Same, same. So like I was really I was pretty stoked about this, and um I ended up not loving it as much as I expected. And, I maybe my expectations were too high because, because like Mighty Gunvolt was such a nice surprise. And, I really, really loved Blaster Master Zero, um, which I know. Have you gone back to that? Have you finished it?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, I think we differ on that one a bit, but honestly, like Blaster Master Zero is one of my favorite Switch games. It's pr- probably in my top five, if not my top three. I really love that game, and it's their both of these are Inti Creates joints. Um, so yeah, I was really excited about it, and um, so I guess kind of just an overview of the game. It's a crossover between Mighty Number Nine and As Your Striker Gunvolt. Okay, and the story is very whatever. It's it's completely ridiculous and forgettable, with the exception of one character in the game that I definitely won't forget, and it's not really for good reasons, but there's an unforgettable character in this game, and I'm actually surprised that I haven't seen um, more of this character on social media. But it's a character you don't really meet until towards the end of the game. But they are a lot. They are a lot. There's a lot of this character that is a lot.
Hmm.
So yeah, look forward to that. But I think it's an 8-bit like Mega Man style game, and I think overall, like as far as like level design and stuff goes, I think it like mostly succeeds. There's some actually pretty clever level design in there, but I feel like for every like clever bit that we see in the game, there is also like a ridiculously frustrating trial and error section, um, which you're just like, why does this difficulty spike happen here? Um, and it's fine because you essentially have infinite lives in the game, infinite retries. You always just go back to a checkpoint, and all that affects is like your end of level ranking. So it's cool, and like if you stick with it, you'll get through the game without having to like totally repeat entire levels as you do in the original Mega Man games. If you like lose all three of your lives, so it ends up being fine, and like I was able to finish the game. But there's some sections where it's just like it's so trial and error in like the most ridiculous ways, and it just doesn't feel good. Um, but I guess the main, I guess, quote unquote, twist of this game, like how it strays from the Mega Man formula, is that you can totally customize your attacks. So that means you can change like the element type, the angle, the size of the projectiles, whether or not um, the projectiles go through terrain or through enemies. Like there's a ridiculous amount of customization you can do with every one of your weapons. You can like totally make these like essentially slots where you have your totally customized weapon there, and you're limited by the amount of like points you have, which you acquire just in levels and beating levels and finding items and stuff. And you can also find items that give you new abilities that you can kind of customize in there, which also include like taking less damage and reducing knockback and all of this stuff. Like it's ridiculous the amount of customization you can get, and in a way that's cool. It's definitely cool on paper, I think, but in reality, it for this style of game, I feel like it totally kills the momentum and the flow of the game, because you end up spending so much time in menus messing with this customization. Basically, after every level, you need to go in there and add your new abilities and spend more points and stuff. And since you have all these different elements, like you have your flame and spark and all this, you have to kind of go through each one of them to customize all of the aspects of it. So it ends up eventually becoming pretty tedious. And at about, I don't know, like 3/4 of the way through the game, I ended up just stopping messing with it and just focusing on one attack style. And I basically just used one weapon through the rest of the game because I was getting kind of so tired of just spending so much time in menus. And I also didn't really feel like the weapon types mattered that much. I would use different weapon types on different bosses, and a lot of the time, like I'd use 4 or 5 different weapons and they all took off the exact same amount of health. So I ended up just kind of sticking with one weapon. It's kind of like the Metal Blade effect in Mega Man 2, where you can kind of just use that one weapon through the whole game. And yeah, I kind of settled on one because I was just getting really bored of spending so much time in the menus. And yeah, but I ended up finishing the game, and it was fine. But I think it really kind of made the Mega Man style game fatigue like fully set in for me, where we haven't had a proper Mega Man game in forever, I guess since Mega Man 10. But between stuff like Mighty Gunvolt and As Your Striker Gunvolt and the legacy collections and stuff, we've had the Mega Man games re-released, and we've had games inspired by them come out, and I think like the fatigue is just setting in pretty hard. And I think at this point, like it would actually be kind of hard for me to get excited about a new like proper Mega Man game, which is like a really bad sign, I feel like. Um, so yeah, like I kind of just I finished this game, and it kind of felt like a chore towards the end, and I don't I'm not really thinking of it fondly, which is kind of a bummer because I was super excited for it. And I think there is a lot here, and like I do appreciate that they tried to change up the formula a bit and do some different things with it. But I don't feel like the customization was very well realized, and all in all, it just wasn't. I didn't love it.
So here's my kind of thought or question for you that I've had, since you started talking about the customization. I guess I'm a little. I get where you're coming from, where you're like, you don't want to, after every level, have to like spend all this time like, monotonously or whatever, like going through these menus and customizing and stuff. But then you also said that in the end, like the customization doesn't really matter. So is it like, do you really have to be doing all that? Like if you wanted to just like play through the game like it didn't have those options and stuff in there, or not that they weren't in there, but you're not really worried about like, because I can see like if you're somebody who's sort of, I don't know what the word is, but if you're just sort of like, if it's there, you have to mess with it, or if like the customization options are there, then you have to play with them. Like I can see where that would be definitely annoying, but at the same time, it almost sounds like the fact that you don't really have to do that stuff, or they're not essential, is almost a good thing, because if you want to just play through and not mess with that stuff, you can. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm wondering if that's the case. If you could ignore a lot of it.
I mean, like I said, I feel like I kind of came to that conclusion a little too late.
Okay.
Where like I was 3/4 of the way through, and I was just like, wait, I don't have to be messing with this stuff. Which maybe if you approach it from that perspective, then yeah, I think you might have a more enjoyable experience. But then
I guess like,
that's really the only thing that kind of differentiates it from all the games that have come before in the similar style.
Yeah, okay. But because like for instance, you mentioned like the knockback, you can like adjust the knockback of the character or whatever. So in my mind, I'm thinking about this goes two ways. Like it can go like the Mario Kart 8 way, where it's like there's all these different carts. They all handle like pretty differently, honestly. Like you can you could sit there and like try to put all these crazy different like combinations together if you wanted to, or you could just pick a cart, get used to it, and then stick with that. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking like, is it like that where if you want to sit there and like really minutely adjust like the physics of how this character controls and stuff, you can, or you could just play with the character the way it is. Is it like that? Or is it like, okay, well, at the end of level 2, you have the ability to like control this knockback stuff. And then by level 4, if you haven't, really boosted up or like reduced your knockback, then you're screwed and you're not going to be able to finish the level. If they're not doing that, then I could see like it makes those customization things less essential, but it also means that it didn't sound like, for me, it doesn't sound like necessarily a deal breaker. Like maybe I'll still like the game because I wouldn't have to worry about that stuff if I'm not into it,
Yeah, I mean, I would recommend going into it, maybe finding a weapon type that you're comfortable with, and then just tweaking that to your liking, and not trying to set up customize every single weapon type. Because it's pointless.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's one of those situations where they try to cram like RPG sort of style customization into a thing that didn't ever need it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need a Castlevania. I mean, not that Castlevania games don't have RPG elements in them, but I don't need to like be, overthinking every element of controlling a Castlevania game or a Mega Man game or whatever it is. So.
Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, this is a game that's $10. It's and if you want a little bit of Mega Man fix, you'll get it here.
Cool. Yeah, I think I'm gonna definitely play it probably before the next time we record. So we'll see if
and I don't want to like really move dissuade people from grabbing it, because I just found myself a little like underwhelmed by it.
Okay.
But that may be more me than anything. Just my opinion. All right. So let's talk about a game that I don't know. Personally, I was pleasantly surprised by.
Okay.
And it's when we both played, and that is DuckTales 2.
Yeah, I had never played it before until the Disney Afternoon Collection.
Same.
I had, of course, played DuckTales quite a few times throughout the years. There was a point 10 or 15 years ago where me and our friend Darren were like trying to see who could beat it the quickest, like I can beat it in 23 minutes. I can beat DuckTales in, 20. I don't know what our actual times were, but I played DuckTales a bunch. And then since then, I haven't really played it. So I went back and played that last week too, the original DuckTales on Disney Afternoon Collection. I started with that one and it was awesome. And then I went on to DuckTales 2. So I think personally, I think it's really good, obviously, because it's definitely all the stuff that, or most of the stuff, I guess, that works about the original DuckTales is there. It feels, I mean, Scrooge controls exactly the same way. The pogo, move still feels great. Level designs and stuff are good. I don't think they're quite as good as the first game, personally, but for the most part, it's more DuckTales. So that's a good thing because it's one of my favorite NES games. I don't know. I don't want to say too much more until you kind of let us know where you're at with it. Like, how did you said pleasantly surprised? Like,
Yeah, and I mean,
good,
basically, like, I this is like a weird perception thing, where like this game existed and I knew of its existence, but it was a game that no one talked about. So, and it was such a late NES sequel. Like, what was this game, like 92, 93 when it originally came out? Like, it was well after the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And it was like, limited quantities. Like, this game is so expensive to get a cartridge of now. But, it came out post Super Nintendo. So I always just had that like weird perception where it's like, well, this can't be good. Like, it's just like a cash-in sequel. You know, everyone's moved on, and I never really thought about the game, and I never like really had a chance to play it legitimately because it was so rare, so expensive. So I was just, in my head, like, it just felt really inessential, even despite being like a huge fan of the original DuckTales. So yeah, so when I actually like picked it up, I really wasn't expecting much, and I played it for the first time today, and I was just kind of like, well, I want to be able to talk about it on the podcast because you had said you were playing it. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll play this, and I played through it in one sitting, which is very easy to do with this game. I thought it was really great. I really, really liked it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it is great. Like I said, DuckTales, the 1989 original DuckTales on NES is one of my favorite NES games, and this is definitely more of the same in most ways. So it's definitely super good. I don't like it as much as the first one. Obviously, I didn't play it 10 million times as a kid, so maybe that's why. That's part of it. I think it looks better. I mean, the characters look the same for the most part, but like some of the backgrounds and like environments and stuff look a little more.
The ship stage with the rain.
Yeah, the rain was cool. The sand.
The
sand is cool. Like the quicksand effect or whatever looks really cool. Yeah, it definitely is. You can see that it came a couple years later in terms of some of the graphical tricks and stuff that it does. So that's an improvement. I think the music is definitely not as good. Like, it's just, to me, it's just like your average NES soundtrack. It's not.
I mean, but that's one of those things where, like, maybe if I listened to it 10,000 times, like playing through the game a ton, it might grow on me more. But like, it
sounds like a licensed game. It just sounds like, sort of like average, uninspired music. I feel like maybe uninspired is a little too strong.
Good.
But it just
like I thought the melodies were good, but there's no. I mean, it's definitely not Moon Stage.
No.
Good.
Yeah. So yeah, so I thought, you know, visually it's a little bit better. Musically, not as good. I also felt like, I guess, you know, I've played through it twice now, actually, since, or well, 1.5 times. I'm quite finished it a second time, but I played quite a bit of it since I started it on the Disney Afternoon Collection, which we're playing on PS4 because, you know, it's a crime against humanity that it's not on the Switch at this point. So no Disney Afternoon Collection on the Switch. So we have to play on PS4, which I'm happy to do. I bought it on PS4 and I was just looking forward to that Switch release and buying it again, but it's whatever. Anyway, playing it on PS4, but yeah, played through a couple times. Like the level designs are good. I feel like it's definitely more linear in terms of level design than DuckTales 1. DuckTales, like I went back and like I said, I played it last week, the first one, and I got lost a few times, even though I'd played the game a million times or whatever. Like, and I think like the order in which you play the levels matters more in the original DuckTales. Like I feel like in DuckTales 2, you could play them in any order you want. It doesn't really matter.
I don't know about that, because the items you get in certain stages that let you destroy blocks and stuff like that, I actually got that, like the hammer ability or whatever, and then I was like, oh man, I wish I would have played this level first, because you know, 2 levels ago there were these blocks I couldn't destroy to get to this area. So I think there probably is like a best order to play through the levels.
Yeah, there might be, but then again, that brings me to another minor complaint I have with DuckTales 2, which is like in the original DuckTales, I mean, I guess, you know, it just like in DuckTales 2, the only thing you're really getting is either money or, you know, power, like ice cream or whatever, like food. But it just felt like when you went out of your way to like find something in the original DuckTales, it was more of a reward, you know, like in what is it, the Amazon level or then the jungle, whatever it is in the original DuckTales. You know, early on you can go underground, and if you go underground, you can go to the left. And if you go to the left, you can find like a hidden area up, like in the ceiling, like very Mario Brothers
over
style,
the top of
Super
the
Mario.
stage,
and you can go to like one section over, and then you can go another section over, and you get like a lot of extra treasure for doing that. And I found in DuckTales,
I think you get do you get a life up,
like an extra life? Yeah, you might too. I don't remember.
Or I meant like an extra heart.
I don't know. Maybe. Can you get extra hearts in the original DuckTales?
I don't know. Can you?
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it would be an extra life would be the big reward there. But yeah.
Remember like 10 minutes ago when I was like, I played DuckTales so many times as a kid. I remember these
10,000 like times, I think, is the number we both cited here. We are experts on this game, and we also know nothing about it.
True, but only one of us was begging to be able to play it with a analog stick, and that was you. So, but anyway, no, it just, but like when you go out of your, I have found in DuckTales 2, I'm not even really
it's
bothering.
A diamond.
It's a diamond. It's one diamond. It might be a big diamond
every time.
It's like, why bother? I'm not even going to bother to like find the secrets or go out of my way anymore to get stuff.
Yeah, I was feeling that exact same way.
Now, that being said, what is, I think, cool, and, you know, going back to Mighty Gunvolt, like maybe it's not really necessary, but I do think it's cool that they introduced the shop mechanic in DuckTales 2.
Yes.
Because in DuckTales 1, it's like, you know, you're going for a high score, I guess, or whatever. But otherwise, like, why does the money matter, you know? But in DuckTales 2, you can buy power-ups and, like, continues and extra lives. And, like,
you can definitely extend your life bar in DuckTales 2.
Yeah, because you start out with 3, and I think you can get 5 total just by spending. And I found, which I like, maybe other people wouldn't, I played the game on normal, so maybe it's different on hard, but, like, it's really not hard to get enough treasure to buy the stuff in the store, like, in the shop. Because the first time I played through it, you know, earlier this week, I was like, okay, well, I'm not really going to spend anything after each level because maybe I need this treasure for later on, which you don't. You know, it's like, so now when I started the second playthrough, as soon as I finished my first level, I was like, yeah, spend that money. You know what I mean? Because there's no reason really to not spend it. So,
yeah.
So I think that's cool. I like that.
You can get a cake to, like, if you're low on health. You you know, refill your health. You can get extra lives, extra continues, but with the rewind feature on the Disney Afternoon Collection, which I unabashedly exploited during my playthrough. Even though it was only at a few sections, because overall, I think this is a much easier game than the original DuckTales. There were really only a couple areas where I was like, I want to do that again. And I probably used the rewind 3 or 4 times, but it is really nice to have there.
Yeah, I guess overall it's probably a little easier. I don't think it's like way easier, but it's probably a slight drop in difficulty. The rewind thing is super cool. Like,
it's so good.
Yeah, although I guess, it kind of comes at the expense of save states, or, that's a choice they made or whatever. So, I guess it's cool because it's, it's a little harder
so much better than save states. Like having that instant pullback instead of having to like to be saving and reloading, going into menus and stuff, just having the touch of a button. Like, I think it's so much better.
Yeah, but okay. Now let's say I like DuckTales 2 a lot. Let's say like there's 2 levels I really enjoy. I mean, I guess you can just choose whatever level you want to, but like basically if you have save states and you have multiple save states, then you can have different save states at different points in the game. Whereas with this rewind thing, like,
with the
that's all
NES
you get.
Classic.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like I think in the end, the save states are probably more valuable, even if they are more work, because you can have multiple save states. And like in a DuckTales 2 game, it doesn't really matter. But when you get into a game where like if I lose that extra life in the 3rd world, that might be like a game breaker in the 6th world. Like I might really need that extra life. Well, if you played through in Disney Afternoon Collection, there's no going back unless you're going to hold the L button for 20 minutes, which you're not going to do.
Which is insanely cool that you can do that.
Yeah, but I don't know how far it actually even goes. I don't know if it'll go back to the beginning.
But I've gone back to like the beginning of a level.
Yeah. I guess my point is like save states and the rewind thing would be great. You know what I mean? But
which you can do.
No,
you can.
Well,
save
you can
and load.
You have one save state. Yeah, that's true. You
one.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the best of both worlds. Like the rewind is so
3 save
good.
states and the rewind is the best of both worlds.
Okay.
But it's very cool. It's a great package. I was hoping for a little more in terms of like the bonus stuff, like with the artwork and all those things, like in Disney Afternoon Collection in general. Like it has definitely some cool stuff, but I don't feel like there's like a whole huge ton of things, but not bad. Some video interviews or like stuff like that, like commercials, like, advertisements. Like Mega Man Legacy Collection has a lot more. I feel like there's probably is a lot more for Mega Man maybe. And that's probably why, but it doesn't feel quite as much of the like Criterion Collection thing that Digital Eclipse is has said they're going for as Mega Man Legacy Collection, but it's still very good, obviously.
Yeah.
So
did you find all the pieces of the treasure map in DuckTales 2?
I don't know. I guess not. My second playthrough, I found like some hidden treasure thing in the desert, like Egypt or wherever it is, that I hadn't found the first time through. So,
because I'm pretty sure there's multiple endings.
Really? Okay.
And I think you have to find all the pieces of the treasure map.
Okay.
And
cool.
That might extend the game a little further.
Yeah.
I haven't really looked into it, but like, holy cow, the last boss of this game is a pushover.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember now.
The D1000.
Oh yeah.
Nice T2 reference there.
Yeah, it took a couple tries, but yeah.
Really?
Because that arm, like you gotta, I don't know. Once I figured it out,
I just jumped right above him and just like pogoed, and it was like 5 seconds on my first try. Yeah. He hit me once, and yeah, I didn't even like try to be strategic or anything. I just took the hit and like it was so fast.
Hmm.
Like it was
Okay.
crazy.
Yeah. But see, I mean, that's the thing, like with DuckTales, like the original DuckTales, you would have to go back to a couple, like at least one of the levels, maybe two. Like, I don't know, or you'd get like into the mines and it's like, oh, you haven't found that thing in the ice world. You got to go back
Like
to the ice world and find that thing and then
yeah.
come back.
And you have to go back to Transylvania
Yeah,
at the end of the
go
game.
back. Yeah. So, like a little bit more of that stuff. I mean, it doesn't need it. I'm not saying it needs it, but like if you're comparing DuckTales 1 to DuckTales 2, just like a little bit more going on with those sorts of things in DuckTales 1. DuckTales 2, though, has Scrooge has more abilities, because he can get these upgrades like the hammer and the whatever else, the iron.
You do more with
cane.
your cane, like because you're
you
hanging
can pull
from
stuff
hooks,
too.
you're pulling things, yeah, which I think is super interesting, and I think that's good stuff. But
it is good stuff, yeah, it is good stuff. It's an amazing game. If DuckTales 1 didn't exist on the NES, it's incredible. It's still incredible, but it's just like I just feel like to me the clearly superior game is the original, but not by a large degree. This one is also super, super good. So to come across this now at our age, like after all these years, having never played it,
yeah,
it's pretty awesome because it's like, oh, you remember that game that was like one of your favorite NES games? Like here's like, a whole game's worth of new levels for it, and you've never played them before. So that's
yeah.
It's like if there was some Castlevania game on the NES that we never played, and it's like, oh, now you can play that game. Like that's actually an amazing gift. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
yeah, this made me so happy earlier today, playing this because I was not expecting to dig it as much as I did. So
yeah. So I started with DuckTales and DuckTales 2 because I just love those games so much. But there's Rescue Rangers and Darkwing Duck and Tailspin on there too that I'm definitely going to go in and play.
I'm about halfway through a Rescue Rangers playthrough.
The first one, yeah.
Yeah, that game's like weirdly hard.
Okay.
Like I'm using the rewind a ton more in that game than I have been in either of the DuckTales games. So
okay. And one more thing is that I feel like this conversation, it's making it clear that a Quackshot focused episode probably needs to happen here sometime soon. Remember when we used to do the 0.5 episodes? Mm-hmm. We might need a 0.5 Quackshot one of these days if I can get my Genesis up and running again.
No, I'm totally down for that. I've never actually played that game. Oh. And I would like to check it out.
It's awesome. Quackshot's
maybe
awesome.
That's something. Maybe that's something
it's not
we
as good
could
as
do.
DuckTales, but it's awesome. Yeah.
Well, most things are not as good as DuckTales on the NES.
Right.
Cool. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up now. If you want to check out stuff we do, go to NintendoFunClubPodcast.com. There you will find things we write when those happen, show notes for the podcast, unboxings, and all sorts of weird stuff over there. That's kind of the hub. And then you can check us out on YouTube. Just search for Nintendo Fun Club Podcast. There's also a link to that on the blog. And as for myself, you can find me on Twitter at Braundwarf, BrawnDwarf. And what about you, John?
Find me at Arcade Ghost on Twitter. And if we were Wii U or 3DS friends, now you can add me on Switch that way too, which is one of the updates in 3.0.
Oh, yeah. That 3.0.
Yeah, that big 3.0. Yeah. I added a couple of Wii U and 3DS friends earlier today, or tried to. And even Super Mario Run friends you can add too.
Which I think you could do that before.
Oh, is that? Yeah, maybe you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I never did that. But yeah, it's cool.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for tuning in, whether you are watching or listening, and We will catch you next time. Goodbye.
Long live the D-pad.
Whatever that means.